So I've been doing a lot of thinking about the person of Moses in the last few days, Katie, but not in the way you might think. So I'd like to title this message, Age. And here's what I mean by this. In the movies that I've seen, where it depicts Moses and the Ten Commandments and all of that, both old and new, Moses is almost always depicted in his 40s or thereabout when he comes before Pharaoh and demands, quote unquote, let my people go. But when you read the actual biblical text from which these movies are made from, Exodus 7 verse 7 to be exact, it says that Moses was 80 years old. I mean, the fact is he was geriatric. He belonged more in a retirement home, eating mashed potatoes and warm milk than he did before Pharaoh, especially with the kind of message he had. And so the point that I make, or the question that I ask, is why did God use and work so mightily as he would through an old man? And I think the answer is simple, because when Moses was younger, he often got in the way. And it wasn't until he was an old man that he was yielded enough to where the Lord could truly work through him. And I take my example from what Moses did to the Egyptian soldier who was abusing the Israelite slave. I mean, he killed him. So I would think that Moses was a very hot-tempered man who often got in his way and in God's way. And so after 40 years or so of being out in the wilderness after he left, God was finally ready at the burning bush to be able to use this man. And I think it's kind of interesting too, and I didn't really realize this until today, that Moses' response when God chose him was much like Gideon's response would be when God would use him. And you recall that we talked about Gideon earlier. But both of these men appear to be very insecure. Both of these men give up numerous reasons why God can't use them, and both of these men ask God for numerous assurances if he is going to use them. And not only that, but when you look at how the lives of both of these individuals play out, you can see overwhelmingly that they were both very humble men. And I think for Moses in particular, since that's the person I'm talking about, that is key. I think God used him in such a mighty way because Moses was so overwhelmingly humble before the Lord. And I think outside of Christ, there was nobody that God used in any greater way. And I would think that Moses' humility had a great deal to do with that. So in our own lives, if we seek healing, if we seek a closer relationship with God, if we want the Lord to use us, then we must humble ourselves. God bless you.